Welcome to Failing Forward. This show is all about the other side of success. We talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators who aren't afraid to share the mistakes they've made. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. Every setback is just a setup for something bigger, if you're willing to learn from it. All right, welcome back to Failing Forward, the show where we sit down with people who took risks, got knocked down, and figured out how to get back up. I'm Tim Petrey, joined as always by my co-host, Will Rauber. And today, guys, today's a special one. We're sitting down with a man who built a multi-million-dollar entertainment empire right here in Youngstown, Ohio. No college degree, no industry connections, just hustle, a pool hall, a whole lot of belief. We're talking to the CEO of JAC Management Group, Eric Ryan. Eric, welcome to Failing Forward.
Wow, that was something.
That's an intro
Empire.
right there.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So, one of the reasons that we started doing this was we wanted to highlight the things that have been created here in our community. We wanted to talk about the things that ultimately went into building these businesses, because what happens is people just see the success, right? Mm-hmm. They just see the end result of all of the grit, grind, things that you had to get punched in the face multiple times and get back up and keep going. So from my perspective, it's the things that people need to hear as they're building, because that's what's happening. I've built plenty of businesses. You've built plenty of businesses. You get your teeth knocked out every now and again, right? 100%. So what we like to do is we start a little bit with the origin story of Eric Ryan, right? So go back to the beginning, St. Rudders, Struthers High School guy. You skip college, you end up at Wheatland Tube, doing the 3 to 11 shift. So just paint the picture for people of what that's like when you're starting things out in your career.
Yeah. It's sort of it's a lengthy story, but it's pretty interesting. My wife and I, we were 7th grade sweethearts.
Nice.
And
that even beats me in the 9th grade, right? Yeah.
And she moved to Louisiana. Her parents got divorced, and our senior year, I heard that April Zetz is moving back in town, and I looked and I'm like, oh my God, you got to make this happen.
Got to get it.
So,
now's your chance.
Best decision ever made in my life. But long story short, she was our valedictorian. I played hoops for Struthers, nothing great, but I was going to go to Bone Wallace, and be the first person in my family really to go to college. And so while she was giving her valedictorian speech in the middle of Struthers field house, her and I are the only ones in the room that knows she has a bun in the oven.
Oh,
and so we waited a few days, let the family enjoy it, and we had to tell everybody, and that was certainly trying times, and we obviously wanted to get married and do things the way that we felt was how we wanted to do it. I hate to say the right thing, but do things the way we wanted to do it. And so I got a job out at Wheatland Tube, and it was a good job at the time. I was part-time, making $12 an hour. As a green hat, they called us. We were college, they were either college kids or kids supposed to be going to college, and didn't really tell them that, And anyways, kind of, my situation kind of got out there, and then I got asked to go full time, and I did, and we worked literally 7 days a week, and when I say that, I mean I worked 147 days in a row. When I first started, I had off on Christmas Day, and then we went back. It was just insane. Did that for about 5 years, got into management, and ended up working there for about 14 years. But I will tell you this, I was very fortunate and very happy, and we all have luck in our lives, and to have that job was obviously feel very lucky, but they had a place called the Gal Shop, and the Gal Shop is where we made pipe between 1/2 inch and 4 inch, mostly conduit or some gas line pipe, but they would galvanize the pipes.
So dirty, such a dirty job too.
And so they had sulfuric acid tanks, and I was a hook on my first. And so basically, you had to go up into these tanks, and they had these. And you would put these big lifts of pipe in there, and sulfuric acid would like clean before it went into the molten hot zinc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't breathe. Could not breathe. I mean, it was like, and I thought to myself that day, I said, this ain't forever. I'm going to get myself the hell out of here. And
that opportunity is, I mean, it's so many people in our community. Like my family still lives in Wheatland. I had my uncles, basically all worked there at the time. And that was the job. I mean, that's where you went. If you were from that area, there's a lot of opportunity until it kind of crashed down a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it was again, we did that, but so we got married, and had Jordan, my oldest, so I guess a couple years later, we had bought a house, the same house we still live in now, and in Struthers, St. Rudders, I used to love a couple things in life. One, I used to love, I loved the shoe pool.
Yep.
And I always loved live music. I mean, music was always such a part of my life. I mean, my mom always had music on, my dad, and just absolutely loved it. And so we put the house up and borrowed, got a MedVec loan and borrowed $35,000 and started with a pool hall. Mm-hmm. And I tell people this, I say, when we were doing the pool hall, I was on 12 hours. I was on straight midnights, 12 hours, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 7 p.m. And we were trying to get it ready and really couldn't afford to have anybody do it. So we did most, all the work ourselves, and it took forever. It was one of those things where, you were supposed to open up in 3 months, and it was like 6 months later, not a penny coming in. We got this loan due. We got, and I'm putting a pool hall in downtown Struthers, right? Yeah. But we knew we wanted it to be very nice. We wanted couples, and anyway, so literally I would drive to work. And then, right before we opened, we went back on regular, regular 8 hours midnights, and I would drive to work in downtown Struthers, and I would pull up to that red light, and it was like 10:15, and I can't swear on this, but not a fucking soul. Like tumbleweed blowing through downtown Struthers.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh my God, like what did I just do? Like I got to be out of my mind to do this.
Yeah.
And I would, obviously no cell phones then, and so I got up to the top of 616 right when you get into Camel, and I would literally open the door and throw up.
Yeah. And
it happened like every day for like 3 months just before, prior to opening. And but anyways, so it was same thing. I was on midnights, and I had a buddy that was working that was going to work it for us, and we got our permits, and I just said, I don't give a shit. We got an open sign, just put it up. Yep. Put an open sign up, and let's go. Yep. And that's what he did. And April comes in. I was trying to get some rest. I wasn't even aware I was going because I had to go back out midnight. I was like 5:30. I'm like, hey, I got to go to bed. I got to wake up in 4 hours, go to work. And threw the open sign on, and boom. April wakes me up 9:30. She goes, "It's packed." I go, "What do you mean it's packed?" She goes, "It's packed, every table." And so
she was working it.
No, but he called her, and he called April and said, "You got to wake Eric up. Like every pool table's full."
Oh my God,
that's
amazing.
It was Southbridge Billiards, but it was awesome.
Take me back to that conversation, because I've lived exactly what you're describing. Like when we started our business and all those early years of just firing money in and just hoping that it would work out. And my wife, similar, high school sweetheart, we'd known each other since the 5th grade. Like a lot of the things she didn't even realize. Like she didn't know that we put our house up to start. And probably 3 or 4 more times along the way.
Some things are better left unsaid.
And it was one of those things that like we'd been together so long. It was a very, long tenured relationship like yours. We just trust each other, right? Like, and so, but that moment where you came to her and said, I want to do this. I want to open a pool hall. Like, do you remember what that conversation was like with April?
She said, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah.
Like April's always been like so incredibly supportive, and especially as time has gone on, and the more risk and the more risk and the more risk we take, just absolutely amazing. And it was funny because she did all the book work.
Yeah.
Okay. So she went to YSU for about a year and then she stopped. And as we had the company, she did all the, during the tough times.
Yep.
She always said, you weren't there when it got good.
Yeah.
Because when Jordan went away to Ohio State, she went back to school and she finished, got her nursing degree. Yeah. So, but she's always been so supportive, and I guess, we're failure is not an option.
Yeah.
I know that's obviously been said a lot, but failure is not an option. And I guess I've never been afraid to, I came from nothing, I'll go back to nothing.
Yeah, right.
Like
yeah,
I like, and I know that sounds funny, but like when it's the truth.
Yeah, right.
Like, and I don't want to ruin our, leave what we have, I guess.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah.
If you need to rebuild it at age 40, 50, whatever it looks like,
and it's going to be faster because you've already learned a lesson.
Correct.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've already failed enough.
That's right.
Yes.
And I asked the question because it's something that we consistently discover in these conversations with people that have built something of their own relative magnitude of success is that stability, that home life, that partner that like has your back no matter what. Like they're going to look at you and say like, Tim, are you crazy?
Even when you do screw up, because but keep you in check.
That's the one person that no matter what you do, has your back. And like that is the thing that I tell people over and over again. They come to me with this business idea or this, that, or the other, and I ask them like, "How's things at home? You good? Like, are you on stable ground at home? You guys going to counseling? Are you guys fighting? Are you guys having issues? Because if you are, leave. Don't go down this path of entrepreneurship if that is in shambles, because inevitably what will happen is that will destroy you. Because if you got to worry about that at home and this at the pool hall and this at Wheatland Tube, like all those things, you'll die. It's just not possible to do all those things. Yeah. So like that, it's cool to see that common theme of you've built something great and you and April have just been, the dynamic duo from the beginning and have figured it out and have gone through the ups and downs and just, keep at it.
Yeah. So. No, you're exactly right. If you don't have that, then you should go get your house in order first before you try to jump off and do something nutty.
Yeah.
Because it's what it is. I mean, the risk.
So how long did this go on where, you're working the 3 to 11, you're working the 12 to 12, and then you're popping over for a sold out Clark show or whatever else? Like how many years were you doing both?
So we had Southbridge Billiards, came out of the gate really, really well. My neighbor who was my neighbor that I lived where we lived owned the building, and we ended up buying the building off him for too much money, but God bless, and but so the basement was an old fallout shelter.
Yep.
And we, I'm like, I want to do live music. Love pool, love my live music. Let's do it. And so we turned it into the cellar. 55-foot long bar, and low ceilings and there again we started with just local bands. That was the idea, to do local regional stuff, and then started to dabble into national acts. And
who's the biggest act you had there at the Cellar?
Oh man, I mean, we opened the Cellar in 2002, and we cranked for 8 to 10 years. We had 155 sellouts in there. I could talk about it now, how many people we had in there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, the fire code was an issue.
We had 5 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. I mean, we had every big blues artist.
Joe Bonamassa.
Joe Bonamassa was, I graduated from Struthers, spelled his name wrong on the damn trying to spell that shit. It was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the Clarks are a big reason why I got into the entertainment industry, because just love them, and then when we actually got them, they had played at the Varsity Club, Ken Bigley, Kenny, my VP, he had them at the Varsity Club and kind of screwed something up, and we ended up getting him. And he always reminds me, like, I mean, nothing without. Yeah. He always says stealing it from the Varsity Club. Nah, but just crazy stuff, and I mean, so many legendary shows. It was just incredible, and I the whole time doing that in 2005. We were doing Three Doors Down at YSU.
Yeah.
We did the Commodores that summer for Summer Festival of the Arts at YSU on the field. A lot of people don't realize that. And then that fall we did Three Doors Down. God rest his soul. He just passed away, the lead singer, and we did that at YSU.
Yep.
And that was kind of when Eric Ryan Productions was born, because. I didn't want to do it with the Cellar. I didn't want to kind of mix it too. So I'm like, we'll develop this little production company that will do shows outside of the club.
Yeah.
And that was a debacle. We had to set the speakers on the stage. I'll never forget it. Like, that was like, and we had the place pretty much sold out, at Bigley, and people couldn't see on the sides. It was like, oh my God.
There's a lot of lessons to learn through that process.
Because you couldn't fly, because they don't have, you look up, it's at Bigley next time you're there, they don't have normal beams.
Yeah.
So you had to get beam clamps, because the top of the beam had the roof on it, where like at Cavelli we have subgrids, where the beams are, and you can kind of rig from it and hang some stuff. But anyway, so then that was 2005. We had opened Fat E's on the top floor, which was our restaurant, in 2006. And then in 2007, so that was what? That was 14 years of totally burning the candle both ends. I'd been in management for the last 10, but
so through that whole time, you're still Wheatland tube,
same thing,
banging it out, breathing in the shit,
and I never went back to the gal shop.
You moved to the office at least, right?
But and so we were thinking about opening up our second restaurant in the Eastwood Mall, and I was on midnights and just totally burning the candle both ends for the last 15 years like nobody's business. Had no hobbies, never golfed, never did anything. All we did was work and spend time with the kids, you know. Like I always say, I mean, Jordan always says, when he was 12-year-old All-Stars, I never saw a game. Because the union was on strike. We had to work anyways. I was on midnights. We had a management meeting in the morning I had to go to. I went to it, and our vice president of our company basically sat up there and says, hey, we're laying 25% of you off in the next 30 days. Whoever wants to go, here's the severance package. And I just got my first cell phone, and I called April on the way home. And I said, I'm done.
Now's the time, right?
Now's the time.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. She says, let's do it. And so, and it was crazy. I mean, I was making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
This
Back
was,
then.
back then.
That was your safety net.
Yeah. And benefits and 401k and the
Yep.
whole thing. And then, okay, I'm going to go, be a concert promoter.
Yeah.
Full time. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how long after that was the shine down moment at the Cellar? Like, where did that fit into this in terms of not having enough space and having to get out of there and do this elsewhere?
Yeah. So so Shine Down, we had done Shine Down in like, I think it was 2003, and then again in, or maybe 2004, and then again in 2005, and then the Cavelli Center opened, which was the Chevrolet Center in 2005, and we booked them in the parking lot, in the back parking lot of the Cellar. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was in the back parking because you had more space, and this was
because we knew. I mean, we would sell. The last time we had Shine Down, we sold them out in like 3 minutes. Which was 500 tickets. I could say that now, but legally it probably should have been 350. But we just shoved them in there, and they. And so I'm like, what are we gonna do? So just picked up the phone, called, people at Cavelli Center, and like, can we put it in your parking lot? And so we did. We did it in the back parking lot there, and it sold like 3,500 more tickets. It was just, it was crazy.
That is bonkers.
Yeah.
So at this point, you've got 3 kids.
Yep.
And you've left the safety net, leaving the steady paycheck. Most people in that position don't necessarily jump. They just stay comfortable. And like, what gave you the confidence in that moment to say, this is it, we're going to do it? I mean, because this was were things profitable at that point, and those things where you said, well, we could probably make enough money to live, or you started to kind of envision the idea of how this could be bigger than that? Or what gave you that kind of gravitas to just say, all right, let's do it?
Well, I think first and foremost, there's nothing like the owner being in the shop. Mm-hmm. And so I was never, we had a lot of success with me doing it from the mill a lot of the times, on the phone, doing up my offers, doing this, doing that. And I think, I guess, the confidence to say that, like, failure was not an option. And I knew at that time that we were building something, that we were, in the industry from a name standpoint. And, it's really what so many industries are the same way, but really the entertainment industry, and from a concert promoting standpoint and from an event promoting standpoint, or, it's just, it's your reputation and what you do is everything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so, I always say tickets sell tickets.
Oh yeah.
And truly, like, the more shows you do that sell a lot of tickets, that helps you sell additional tickets.
Yep.
And so we just had the confidence that we could make it happen, And so, plus I had 6 months of severance, which was pretty cool. It's like, okay,
a little bit of runway.
I'm gonna get paid. To be honest,
6
with
months.
You, for 6 months. Yeah. And we were rolling. Things were great. And literally the very last week before my severance, my phone rang, and we were opening a restaurant, and we were opening the other Fatties at the Eastwood Mall. Mm-hmm. And my phone rang, and I pick it up, and it's Mayor Jay Williams.
Right. So this is around 2007. So this is when JAC is officially birthed.
Correct.
So, and Mayor Jay, Mayor Jay was, from my perspective, one of the pivotal change moments for the city of Youngstown.
Absolutely.
Like, he was the most, impressive mayor that I recall in the history of, Youngstown that I have ever seen.
Right.
That dude was brilliant. He had a financial mind. He just got it. And he had the 2010 plan.
Yeah.
The City U stuff with McGiffin when he was down there too, and RJ and all those guys. So what was that moment when Jay calls you up
Yeah, he calls me and says, Eric Grant. I'm like, yeah. He's like, Mayor J. Williams. I'm like, hey, how you doing, Mayor? He's like, can we meet? And I'm like, sure. So the next morning I went down and he's like, hey, I want you to, we're going to get rid of the management company. We're losing $1 million a year. We're, going down like a lead balloon, basically. Mm-hmm. And can you do it while we search for another management company?
How do you say no? Even if you didn't want to.
Well, and be honest with you, I said I did. I said, well, Mayor, this isn't really what I do. I'm not a management company. I'm trying to grow this concert promoting company and doing a pretty good job at it. We're gaining some traction and he's like so he kind of laid out the deal and let me think about it for a night, and same thing, went home, talked to April, and she's like, you got to do it. I mean, right. And I wanted to do it for the city, but you're 30, 33 years old. You've been, going like, or 34 years old, going like hell. And I love my city, but I also love, my family and my health. And
you had already made a ton of sacrifices.
Yeah. And it's like, this place is, not doing well right now, to say the least. And so we took it and it happened quick. Yeah. And so I knew I did not want, you talking to my attorney, which was Jim Malone at the time. He's the judge down in Struthers now, but and I'm like, man, I don't want to, I don't think I want to use Eric Ryan Productions because this is a little bit different. It's a management company and this and that. And so was with some friends, few cocktails, and someone says, well, what are the other companies called? I'm like, SMG, AEG, and they're like, well, name it after the kids, JAC, Jordan Ashley Carson, name it after the kids. And so that's how it was born, That's cool. And so that's what we did. And we went into the Cavelli Center, and Kenny was with me, and Brandon Bucar, who now works for Live Nation. He's a trader, but he's my guy. He's my guy. No, he's still he works.
I love it. You got to call everyone out.
That's right.
But we go in there, and so you have this company. They introduce us, and now everybody there kind of knew us because we had done Kenny Rogers, we did Korn at the arena, and we did Shine Down, and we did a couple other ones, and so. Introduced ourselves and kind of like, this is what we're going to do. And it was a 3-month deal.
Right. And so it's 2007, JAC is born, and you're, in hindsight, taking a lot of reputational risk here, right? Mm-hmm. Because your reputation and selling tickets, to your point, if this doesn't go well, this could be really bad for the future of your career, right?
Really bad.
And naturally, we're in 2007, and then bang, whole world falls apart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me just finish this one thing. So we sit down. So I go to this office, beautiful office. I mean, literally, my office at the Cellar was at the end of Southbridge Billiards. It was no bigger than this, and I had a window that I punched out. Kenny sat in that office. It was
a basement window.
And I just scream at him, and he'd be like, yeah. While the music is blasting, and it was just brutal. So we get in these offices, and Brandon goes to that office, Kenny goes to that
real
office.
Offices.
Real office.
You're like, yeah.
Get my computer and out a damn email and sit there for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into? What do I do? How do we, this place is losing $1 million a year, and those.
There's no roadmap for you, right? You got to build this.
So I look over at this fancy phone, and because everything was still new. The place was only built 3 years ago. Yeah. I had this nice little phone system.
Still smells like a new car.
And I said, hey, out here, and I hit Brandon's extension, and he's up. What's up? I go, hey, hold on. You know the conference? So he's yeah. So I hit conference, get Kenny's number, conference, get on the phone, and we sat there for about 30 seconds, and I said, the hell do we do now? like what do we do, boys?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
right.
I mean, we got these nice offices, but like, how's this really going to work? Right. And it didn't take long, you know. I mean, we just started diving in, making calls, kind of felt like we knew what the hell would work, but yet, you know, there was just so much on the financial end of things that we just had to, you know, we had to run it more efficiently. We had to figure out what works, what don't work, and all this while 2007 comes along.
Right.
You know, my very first meeting was with General Motors that said that they're pulling the Cavelli Center.
Way to start off
name,
hot.
Yeah,
right.
Like, this is fantastic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
My second meeting was with Herb Washington that said that the Steelhounds were, you know, donezo, and not far after that, the football team, the Thunder, was gone.
Yeah. Yep.
Those were some fun days. I have to say.
The Steelhound days were a lot of
I love,
fun.
and I mean, we have the Phantoms there now. It's
Yeah.
I still love going to those games, but the football, I mean, it was temporary, but it was fun. I loved it.
So, I mean, there had been some like big players that were trying to run this and didn't do it well. I mean, what were you doing differently other than, I mean, you knew the market, you knew the community, you had some reputation already, but like there were some big players in there that were running it unsuccessfully. And what do you think that you guys did differently in that first year that at least set you on the right path that they weren't doing?
Yeah, I mean, I just think we understood the market, and you know, and understood what would sell tickets and what would sell well. You know, I wish it was that easy now, because then, you know, nobody had really played the market, right?
Yeah, right.
And times were different, a little bit different then than they are now. But, you know, you could, you know, I mean, we really made our hay by overshooting our coverage, period.
Yeah.
Bottom line. I mean, there's no goddamn way we should have had freaking Elton John.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Twice.
People will come from, I mean, it's a nice spot to be in between between Cleveland and
Sure.
Pittsburgh. We make that drive all the time for concerts, like our whole lives.
Yeah.
We're going to drive an hour. It's nothing to us. But when you get somebody like that, people are going to come. It's
for
amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk me through what happens next. So you start your first meeting, Lordstown's out, you know, naming rights gone. Next, the football team, the hockey team, like where did you go from there? When does Cavelli kind of come into the equation as the next name? You know, you're full blown hair on fire at this stage in the game, right? It's already a difficult challenge, and then it just got infinitely harder all of a sudden. So where do you go next?
I think we just, you know, we mostly just put our head down and you know, like one of the very first big ones we booked was Carrie Underwood.
And was it did the Cavelli name come in prior to that?
So the Cavelli name came in. I believe it was 2009. So it was so we were there the end of 2007. And we were only supposed to be there for 3 months. And then they kept extending it. They brought all these companies in. They did all this dog and pony show. But we had really started to show. I mean, we went in, cut some staffing, you know, trim some fat like, you know, you guys
You
do
had to. Yeah.
all the time. And you know, really went in there and started booking some things that made some sense and that, you know, that were selling well. And I mean, there's no secret. I mean, we make our hay off of big events. I mean, that's really what you have to do, you know, in order to be able to financially succeed, and especially in the arena world where, you know, the majority of these arenas lose money operationally.
Yeah.
I mean, they just do. You know, I'm not talking about the NBA arenas. Those are a different animal. But, you know, in arenas in a secondary and a tertiary market at 5,000 to 8,000 seats, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But, went out and met Sam Cavelli and got him to believe, I'll never forget. He looked at me and said, "Listen to me. I don't be opening this paper and have Cavelli as like part of a loser. You hear me? Yes, sir, Mr. Cavelli. Yeah. So I always tell you, he's my guy now.
Good motivation.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is piss off Sam.
Oh no, he's unbelievable. But and so he came on at a time when everybody was really that there was kind of a mass exodus, and we went to a lot of our sponsors and our other suite owners and these people, and which are really the backbone of our operations. It's really something you absolutely have to have, and we went to them and they believed in our vision, and so just started building it from there. At the end, so we got the contract in the middle of 2008, and our first year was 2009. So we were there. Our first official year as the management company was 2009.
Yep.
And then that's basically when we had the $1 million turnaround, and they called me the $1 million man in the paper, and you would think that would be good, but not so goddamn good.
We're always looking for that next million too.
Yeah.
They go, okay, now it's at zero. Where do you go from there?
Yeah. Kids coming home going, Dad, are we millionaires? No. That's
we just went from negative 1 million to zero.
Yeah. It isn't our money.
Yeah. And just recently, the construction loan got paid off for that property, right? I mean, how does that feel for you? I mean, obviously it wasn't your money, it wasn't your property, but like now you've been in this thing for so long, there's got to be some cool sense of pride associated with that.
Oh, big time. And that was our job, we early on we put on a 5.5% emissions tax, which sounds like something normal, but it's really not. I mean, there's three other cities in the state of Ohio that have emissions tax, but our emissions tax is very unique because it only involved the Cavelli Center.
Yeah.
So basically, when you're talking about a show, say you're talking about a show that's going to gross, $100,000, you're like $5,500 is getting off the top and going to a tax. When you're talking a show that's going to gross $1 million, it starts to get a little bit more serious. You don't have $55,000 that's going off to this tax. Yeah. And so we were catalysts to put that on because we felt like if we could carve out this money that would be able to go directly to the city and not towards the operations, not towards paying the gas, the electric, putting on the shows, doing all the events that we do, all the employees, that stuff, that would help. And that's the best move we ever made.
And honestly, what's one more charge tacked onto your ticket fees when you get
correct.
there too?
Right. Correct.
I think we're all used to that now. You see that, oh, man.
But the biggest difference is we didn't want to do that at the time, so we just started by carving it out at settlement with the artist or with the tour.
That's awesome.
So the
really
people don't
good.
see it. Yeah. So it really, at the end of the day, like if you're setting ticket price, you might say, hey, okay, well, I got 5.5% going out, but and Kyle Isaac, who's a city finance director now, he was a big part in getting that done and putting that in. So that really made a big difference. And then we went from losing $1 million operationally to we've had 15 years or 16 years in a row operationally making money, which is pretty impressive. Something we're super, super proud of. So you take all those things. They owed $13 million on the building, and they were talking about maybe having to close it down, and now it's paid off.
20 years basically. For the note.
Right. Yeah.
And it's one of those things in the city of Youngstown and in our region period that's like, how do we have this? Right, we go to Avalon, we go to Ron Klingel's places, and it's like, how are we so lucky to have this?
It's crazy.
Go to Moransky, the Lake Club, and like for our town to have its own entertainment venue and all these great other places, it's like this is the gem that ultimately we can start to think about like rebuilding around.
Right.
And I mean, I know I've had some unbelievable memories down there over the years, but like I'd love to hear from your perspective. Elton John 2010. Sold out in 30 minutes. Yeah. Right. I mean, $1 million in ticket revenue.
Oh yeah.
Like what was that lead up that night? Like tell us a little bit of experience about the old Tiny Dancer night. That had to be a great one.
Well, we really knew that we needed a big splash.
Yeah.
And so as it happens, I was sitting at a bar in LA and at a conference called CIC, it's Concert and Conventions, and we go to it every year. And we're there, and after the regular rigmarole, wherever you go to these things and these conferences, and so we end up at the bar, of course, and just getting hammered. And so
where all the deals are made.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I'll leave the name out, but somebody says, 2 down or 3 down is so and so, and I knew that was Elton John's, and also it was Kenny Chesney and a couple others, people's manager.
Whoa.
And I'm like, oh man. So I said, hey, send that guy a drink on Youngstown.
Heck yeah.
So the guys around me are like, are you freaking nuts? I go, send him a drink on Youngstown. So bartender goes down, and then I hear Youngstown, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, Youngstown, Ohio. And he's like, and I said, guaranteed sellout, instant sellout. And everybody's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, I'm telling you right now, every fucking ticket in the house, $135, every ticket in the house, instant sellout, 360, whatever you want to do. Okay, yeah, thanks, Youngstown. Okay.
Yeah.
And these guys are like, you ruined it. And I'm like, well, we'll see. So get back, find his email, send a nice email, Youngstown, Ohio, listen to me. It would be the biggest thing since sliced bread.
Yep.
Come on, we can do this.
Yep.
Oh, thanks. Nice meeting you. Appreciate the drink. Have a nice life.
Yeah.
3 months later, 3 months later, 3 months later. And yeah, it was a Friday night. I was at work, left work at like 7:30 and was on my way home, and my phone buzzes and it says, do you have whatever it is November 5th available? I mean, I didn't even look at the schedule.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
I'll make it work.
Yes.
I'll make it work.
Who we have, and boom, it really changed the trajectory of our lives, and most importantly the business, and most importantly the arena, and really like I said, overshot our coverage on it, and we went on for sale, boom, every ticket in the house, gonzo. I mean, I'll never forget, because we have we use Ticketmaster, and there's inquiries, right? So when you go in and you go to buy a ticket, and you say that I want 4 tickets, and at the time we put a maximum of 4 tickets on that show, because we knew it was going to sell out. Yeah. So we just wanted to get as many ticket buyers in there as possible. But when you go and you put your 4 tickets in a cart, and then you gotta go through whatever you're paying, and put the credit card information in. That's called an inquiry, right? Mm-hmm. If you put the ticket into a cart, it's called an inquiry. Mm-hmm. And at like 10:02, we had like 28,000 inquiries.
And what's the total seats in this?
7,000.
7,000. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh boy.
Yep.
And so it sold out, and I'll never forget that day. We were just getting all these phone calls. Oh, it was a hoax. It was this. It was like that. I'm like, it was bullshit. We logged on. We this. I'm like, no good. If this is no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Yeah. I'm like, if I have 7,000 of these to sell, and 28,000 people want it, it's supply and demand. I can't create another seat for your ass.
Yep.
And it was just that was certainly interesting. And then day of that, I'll never forget it. I was walking around. What the biggest question I got was, what's coming next?
Yeah.
I'm like, will you just enjoy this for
right.
Christ's sake?
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
John in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah.
And then so many. We've had so many massive artists, but that was really I think that was a turning point. And
it doesn't get much bigger than Elton John, though. Like, I mean, to be able to say, oh, Kid Rock, you're not going to come play here, but Elton John was good enough to come play here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, or literally anyone
Yeah.
after Elton John is like, hey, the dude was here, man.
Right. Yeah. And the other big one I know we talked about earlier was, was in 2009 and was the Kelly Pavlik
The
fight.
greatest night in downtown Youngstown city entertainment history, hands down, period, no questions asked. Yeah. And I've had some good nights in downtown Youngstown. That was one of the best.
Yeah. Highest grossing of all time and event. And I don't, at the arena. It'll never be, I mean, I don't know in my lifetime whether it would be beaten or not. So I'll never forget, like, when they first started setting ticket prices, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you could really jack this shit up. Maybe, you want people want to sit ringside, they got to pay, Sure. And, but Kelly wanted tickets affordable around. That was the only thing. If other than that, there was just no way. But that was the same thing. Just the demand was crazy, and it sold out. Just pretty
chills
instantly.
just thinking about it. I remember that feeling, and I wasn't there. I watched it on TV, but that feeling of Youngstown and just seeing it on pay-per-view, like, holy shit,
Well, I mean, it was like, for me, so 2009, I'm at the tail end of college at YSU, and I remember calling my best friend up at the time, Brock, and I said, hey, we're going to watch Kelly fight. And he's like, no way. How did you get tickets? And I got them from Dom Lewis. Bought a bunch of tickets down at Cavelli, and he had a couple extra.
I remember him telling his story.
and like, I'm sitting next to, we get there and we're probably like 3-4 rows back, and the dude in front of me, I'm like, man, this guy looks familiar. I look at Brock, I'm like, that is Roy Jones Jr. I'm sitting right behind Roy Jones Jr. Watching Kelly Pavlik, and like, that to me was like a pivotal moment for me in the way that I viewed Youngstown, because the whole Kelly thing, period, not just that night was probably the culmination of all of that, but like all of Kelly's fights and the way that the community just surrounded Kelly, and he was our champion and he was the guy, and it was just like such a cool, proud Youngstown moment. Because leading up to that, growing up in Youngstown in the 90s, and then coming back and going to college at Youngstown State University, it was always, we got to get out of Youngstown. Youngstown's dying. You got to leave. You got to get out of here. And that was a moment where, throughout that whole thing, everybody showed this immense, unbelievable Youngstown pride. Mm-hmm. And like, it was so cool to watch all of the fights on TV and then being able to see it in person. I remember going to the bars afterwards.
Oh yeah.
They were packed. It was such, like, we were out that night until God knows when, because everywhere was just banging. Like the whole, I've never still to this day have seen like downtown like that, because not only did we go to the fight, but then everybody went out.
Right.
It was just a full-blown banger all over the city and streets of Youngstown.
Well, it was a connection too for the generations. I remember like the older people who grew up watching like Boom Boom Mancini go through. So there were so many ripples and connections throughout that. It was really cool to see in Youngstown another one, right? Another world champion is amazing.
Just like when they sold out Atlantic City of beer. Remember that? I forget what fight that is. Atlantic City. All running out of beer. Welcome to Youngstown.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, it was magical. I mean, that's the greatest word for it. It was totally magical. The energy, it'll never be matched. I mean, come on, we had a world championship fight. And it was on pay-per-view. And I think the neat thing is that so many of the people that weren't able to come to to be there in person, that's what they filled the bars. They went down, and it was just like not one person in the world would,
had some big parties floating around the city, no matter where you were.
Yeah.
Right?
The funniest part of that night, I still remember it to this day. My buddy Brock, and if he listens to this, he'll get a little chuckle. And we go to downtown 36 afterwards, right? And it was in the WIC building down there, whatever. And again, everywhere is packed. Every place we walked in and out of is crazy. And my buddy Brock was like this super shy kid, always through school, through college, whatever. And we're walking through the bar, and all of a sudden this woman just grabs him and starts making out with him in the middle of the club. And I'm like, what is going on here? You know, I mean, it was one of those nights where like everything was just fun, you know, from beginning to end. Cool moment. But like, you know, also growing up, you know, west side of Youngstown, you know, I've always been a hip hop guy, and you've had a lot of success with the country artists here, especially recently. But you got some pretty big names. Like the one I want to hear a little bit about is Wheezy, Lil Wayne. I want to hear the Lil Wayne story at Cavelli. I mean, how did you pull that off?
Well, I sort of wish I didn't pull it off, but I don't know if you know that side of the story. Yeah. You know, Lil Wayne, you know, in the hip hop or the rap world, it's a little different than any other genre from the sense that you know, number one, you need success, you know, and I always tell people that like good shows help sell other good shows. You know, I mean, I just had this conversation with somebody with R&B. It's like, you know, I know there's so much country, you know, I'm a rocker, like, and I like country and like rock, I like all kinds of music. You know, but we don't book based on what we like.
What you like.
We book based on
what put butts in seats.
Correct. And what management and what the agents think it'll do. You know, we don't make the final decision. I wish we did. If we did, this would be easy. I'd say book Taylor Swift tomorrow. Give me Jay-Z and the next day. Here we go. I mean, it just doesn't work that way, you know, and you got to have the seats, you got to have the money, got to make sense. And then they got to want to do it. And then you got to have success. You got to be able to, I mean, you're selling yourself every day. That's what we do. But Lil Wayne was a huge artist that we got, but when we got him, there was a promoter. We didn't promote the show. It was a promoter out of New Jersey that knew Lil Wayne and this and that, and like you got to be very careful with some of this stuff because you know you can really get some imposters that you know, it isn't the real deal. You know, so I mean, obviously at the level we're at, we certainly make sure it's great, and so we goes on sale. And a lot of people kind of are saying, "Oh, Lil Wayne really isn't coming to Youngstown." Like, no, he's coming. Like, this is for real. You know, like we seen him. We sent him the check. He's coming. You know, and so he goes and he postpones the show a week out because he is going to be on CSI. Okay.
Which one? Miami?
I don't know which one. Like one of the
there's a million ones.
Yeah. And so he postpones it, and he so which kind of fueled that fire. People thinking this thing wasn't real. Long story short, the day comes. It was like 3 weeks later. The show comes, and he is there's in that world you have a lot of opening acts, and so an opening act is 7:30, 8 o'clock. He's supposed to go on like 9 o'clock, and so the opening act
9 o'clock. He's just getting warmed up on the bus.
And so it's 8:45. The opening act stops 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30. There's no Lil Wayne on stage yet. I'm like, it's 9:30.
And it's already brewing that people are
you start to get restless. So I go back and they basically, I say, what's up with, where's he at? And they said, well, when he's high enough, he'll come on.
He'll be ready.
I'm like, well, we got like a sold out show. Like
you're selling more beer in between, right?
And and it's so funny because like sometimes I feel like, and especially in the hip hop and the rap world, early on, you would get this stigma that it was going to be problems and it was going to be this and that, and it's quite the opposite. A lot of times. Yep. I mean, there's not a lot of trouble. There's not a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. Most people are high as a kite. You know what I mean? But, whatever. Because you can get some country shows that can get really, you can get some rock shows that can get really
rowdy.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, but that day I remember sitting out front or standing out front and just Escalade or Tahoe or, just like, this like people dropping their high school kids off.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like just dropping them off by the loads
Yep.
or minivans. I didn't give you where it was at, just by the loads. And so I knew that there was a lot of, high school age kids there. And and so, I'm just like, come on, we got to get this on stage. So it's 9:30, 9:45. No, and the crowd's getting pretty restless. 10 o'clock rolls around and my director of security is like, we got to do something. Like, people are saying he's not here. He canceled. This was the far. People demanding their money back, and I'm like, so go back. I'm like, dude, you got to get him on stage right now. How's this? Got to get him on stage. And he's like, he ain't getting on stage yet. And blah, 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 this promoter. And I'm just like, dude, do your job. Get his ass on stage right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, 9:15, 9:20, 9:25. Now they're calling for backup. Now they're like, we're going to lose the crowd. Get to Mahoning County, get every police guy.
God.
So I just see my whole life flashing in front of me, because this was in 2008, dude.
Yeah.
This was 2008.
Yeah.
And we were just getting the deal to get the full-time gig, and I'm gonna lose this over Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? I'm gonna So as the story goes, I just lost my mind. I ran out, started beating on the bus,
Showed him a little youngster.
jumping up, beating on the glass, the windows, and just boom. His manager comes out, and I basically give him the old Youngstown.
Yep.
I'll kind of keep what I said to him.
Yeah.
But I think I got my point across. And he comes off the bus about 3 or 4 minutes later, and by this time we had a lot of police, and we were, he would never got out of the driveway, but I'm just like, we got to go. And so he goes up on stage, and I'll never forget it. He got the mic, it's a hot mic, and he's like, "What's up, Youngstown?" And I love when people say Youngstown, and I'm like, not Ohio, not whatever, what I mean, bro. Say Youngstown. This is where you're at.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's up?" And the place is,
yes.
And I'm running on the side of the stage, and I'm just mother effing him and this. And I'm just, because I was just so amped up. I was just so convinced that like we were gonna lose everything we had, for no fault
first
of our
year.
own,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he goes up there and puts on an absolute banger of a show, right? And fast forward like 5 years later, he came back, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the
Came out on
consummate
time.
pro. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Came out on time, and just was like, and I told his manager the story. I'm like, this guy, if I die of natural, I said, if God willing, I die of natural causes, I wanted to say I would have lived 5 years longer.
Yeah.
If it
Wasn't for Lil Wayne.
Wheezy out there. Yeah.
But this guy, a lot of times they were used to playing clubs too. In fairness to him, he's playing an arena, and a lot of them got, the clubs play later. And,
Started 11, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that.
And then fast forward about 5-6 years later, same thing happens with Migos. We do Migos at their peak, killing it.
I remember that one.
And we get Carson calls me, my youngest son. He's like, "Dad, Migos playing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" "Yeah, they're out on the bus." He goes, "Dad, like, it's all over TikTok or Twitter, whatever it was." He's like, they're or Snapchat or whatever it was. He's like, they're at the ACC championship game. I'm like, "What do you mean they're at the ACC championship game?" So obviously get on Google, look, there they are, ACC championship game. So I go downstairs, talk to the manager. I'm like, "Bro, they're there. Like, we got like a sold out show. They're there." And it was a mess. we end up get them, police escort into town. They get on stage at 10:30.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yes, insane.
Oh. Anyways, I don't know how we got off.
I mean, these are in the early years. You're taking over this thing. It's massive. You're getting these big names, and then you got a nice little stretch there between 2010, Elton John, and some good things that happen, and then 2020 happens.
Yeah.
COVID happens, and the whole world falls apart. And nobody's coming to venues. I specifically remember this because this was at the time I was one of the owners of Youngstown Clothing Company. It was one of the early investments I'd made in one of the small businesses in our community, and we designed the jerseys for the Phantoms. So it was St. Patty's Day game. We designed the green and orange jerseys. White Glove Payroll was going to give away $1 million if somebody put the puck through the hole or something like that. We had everything all laid out. Like this was going to be this cool collaboration between the payroll company and the T-shirt company, the Phantoms, Cavelli. Like it was all the planning that went into this, and then bang, whole world turns off. Like that turns off. Tell me what's going through your mind in that moment in March of 2020 when you're like, what are we going to do? Where are we going from here?
Yeah. Never want to go back to those days. I know that. I know, and so many people were hurt by by COVID and that time. I mean, so many businesses, don't get me wrong. But I think it'd be hard stretched to find, mass gathering business just was devastated.
Yep.
And we went from, like we live every day worried about what we're booking next and, trying to get shows and, trying to make those things work to, we did a deal with the state to have the Cavelli Center be a big medic, a place, where we had beds. We had it for 380 beds and turning the kitchen into this and that. So, that was just like surreal, but the one thing for us is that they pretty much shut us down. Right.
Right.
So we couldn't, it's not like we could keep our employees around. We had a few, we still have the building to maintain. We still have, things like that, but we still have to pay bills and we still have to, but yet we were completely shut down for 16 months,
16 months.
Yeah, it was 16 months before we could start,
and luckily there was some programs in place, the shuttered venues, the PPP, whatever else that kind of kept something going there. But 16 months of just, and that's your whole business too.
Right.
Is mass gathering everything.
PPP was helpful. We were able to get some of that as well, just to kind of, just to keep the people that we needed, that we had to have to still to operate the facilities, shuttered operators, but that was mostly to get reopened, to kind of get the business going again. And you had to expend, you had to spend those expenses on certain expenses.
Was there a moment in that 16 months where you're thinking to yourself, we're not going to open the doors back up again? Or did you feel that this was gonna be done at some point in time?
I was never worried that we weren't going to reopen the doors again. I wasn't sure how long it was going to be, but luckily we were able just to scale down enough and then use these other, to really still not cost the city money, right?
Yep.
We had to freeze all of our other contracts and stuff, and so we got through it. I never really felt like, I knew that it would obviously, it wasn't going to be the new normal, but it certainly went on for a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
one of my favorite now Youngstown consistent events, one of my favorite nights of the year is Wildlife. And I'll never forget the first show. It was an unbelievable experience to have such a massive name in our town and like it was just electric, filling up Stambaugh. We sat in the front row of the stadium seats and just looking down and seeing everything filled up. And it was, the coolest part about it was you're in, out, everything was safe, everything was clean. There was never a moment where anybody was like, I don't feel comfortable. It was just another one of those like prideful Youngstown nights where it's like, we did it right. And it wasn't, there's nothing on you to do that. That was on us as a community to like keep our stuff together and not have a terrible evening of a mass gathering.
You never know.
Fights or
Sometimes.
this, that, or the other. And like, you know, Y Live is now turned into this thing, this moment every year where we get to see all these people come together. And now we're going back. We're going back to Stambaugh. Going back to the OG location.
Which is amazing. Like, I'm so excited because 2017 was at the stadium, right?
Right.
And that was I'll never forget. It was my first day at YSU going back for my MBA. And I walked in. I had class that night. And I walked in. I stayed for 5 minutes. I left and went to the show. It was like,
that was a late show. If I remember that, we were in October or we were late September. Late September.
Yeah.
Of 17.
2017 was Zach Brown Band.
Yep.
Right.
18 was Florida Georgia Line. There.
Both of which were full-blown bangers.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable. And both are just on great bands. Zach Brown
yeah.
plays a little bit of everything. Florida Georgia Line, same story. Like, they can kind of cover 5 genres in one evening.
Well, Zach Brown did like Whipping Post. And
yeah.
I was after
Sweet.
that. It was so amazing.
Yeah. And then Blake Shelton was 19.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
cool.
Tell us a little bit about this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we're in, so COVID happened, and then after COVID, university just kind of decided that they didn't really want to do the concert there anymore, unfortunately. And so we were, you know, we were faced with a big decision. It was obviously a massive thing for our company. Massive risk, but you know, also if the reward certainly could be worth the risk. And so
it's kind of like the OG Seller days where he says, "Let's just do it in the backyard."
Yeah. Oh shit. So you know, we decided to that we didn't want to take it out of, you know, it was Y Live. We didn't want to take it out of city limits. Right. And so we moved it down to Ween Park. And basically I was in our office, in our corporate offices in the City Center 1 building. And it was after the meeting and that we found out that we weren't going to be able to do it at YSU. And I looked out the window and I'm like, how about right there? And my whole staff is like, are you out of your freaking mind? And so we basically turned a parking lot and this field into a concert venue. And super proud of it, proud of what we did. We could never recreate the one-sided stadium that YSU has to offer.
Yeah.
I mean, just never. And a totally different feel. I mean, you know, down at Ween Park, it was a festival feel, you know, just kind of wide open. But that has some challenges with it, of course. Not to say why she doesn't have some challenges that you need to get through, but
mostly the bathroom situation.
Yes, the bathroom situation, which we
tough,
we
right?
cleared after the first year, but like, you know, the place was built whenever, you know what I mean? And so
even the football games sometimes, you're like waiting at at halftime. It takes a while.
Yeah. So it was great. I had a meeting with the president, President Johnson, about something else, and he didn't realize that YSU had hosted Y Live, had been there before, really? And so we started having a conversation. And he was like, you know, why aren't you here? And I had those conversations with him, which were pretty candid, which was great because I didn't know him from Adam, and
great guy.
And he's like, let's roll. Yeah. You know, and so it's great to be back there. I think it's an amazing place to watch a concert. When you think about it, you know, when you think about, you know, the stage at the 50-yard line going from the 30 to the 30, you know, elevated seats going all the way up. It's just, you know, and like one of my proudest, I mean, ever was to be down on that floor and you turn around and it's 20,000 people right there, right, and the artists love it too. which
sure.
matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah.
Yep. The artists just absolutely love it, and so we're excited. Jason Aldean and Travis Tritt on Friday, and
nice.
then Eric Church on Saturday. It's July 10th and 11th, and just whenever you do something like this, it's a tremendous risk. And it's never easy.
Yep.
And especially now, where the industry really has changed. Our idea of why live was to can't miss. What I said to our whole team was I just want everybody to have FOMO,
Yep.
fear of missing out.
Yep.
Yeah.
One event a year
Yep.
that, damn it, just like the Canfield Fair,
Yep.
You have to go to.
Yep.
Sure.
You know what I mean? For our community. And, I think we've created that. But obviously with that, there's a lot of expense and there's a lot of risk.
Heck yeah.
Like I say to everybody, no matter how many tickets we sell, we got to pay all of our employees.
That's right.
We got to pay for that field covering.
Yep.
We got to pay for that stage. We got
Yep.
to pay production. And we got to pay the artist.
Yep.
And that adds up to a lot of money. So, and I know you guys have supported us and really
every year, and
appreciate
we'll
it,
continue
man.
to do it every year. Because that's the thing is
Love it.
that's what people need to understand is that even if whoever isn't your particular flavor of artist, if you want this to be a thing, you got to step up and support it. Businesses, community leaders, this, that, or the other, you got to keep showing up for those kinds of things and sending people and buying tickets and supporting these events because if it doesn't work 1 year, it may not come back.
Correct.
So that has always been kind of my mentality is we're in no matter what. I don't care who you bring. I'm coming.
You're
Yeah.
gonna have some fun
and we're
no
gonna
matter
roll deep.
what.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When you're writing a check, sometimes you don't need told twice.
Yeah.
And people, like last year, we had a great lineup, and a different lineup,
Yep.
and people were always like, why do you do country? Why do you like so much country? And again, one, because it sells, and two, you can get the artist at the right price,
Right.
To make it work. And at the end of the day, it's just got to make dollars and cents.
There's an equation.
And even though I'm super proud, 20,000 people a night, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, 20,000 people, right? But we're not Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Yeah, right.
Cleveland Brown
Yep.
Stadium's 50,000. There's a reason why Morgan Wallen is playing there.
Yep.
I'd love to have more, which we did.
was
Morgan
gonna
Wallen
he
opened
was-
for Florida Georgia Line,
Yeah.
and was set to open for Luke Bryan.
Amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and then COVID happened.
Yep. Yep.
So and once now we're going to reestablish it at YSU, right?
Yep.
God willing, have a great year.
Yep.
And I think the sky's the limit. Who knows? Maybe 3 days next year.
I can't wait. I'm
I
pumped.
don't know if my liver can handle it.
I mean, last comment I'll make about your shows, Eric, I've been to a ton of them. I think, the Zach Brown show, number one for me, there's literally a picture, a drone picture in our office of it that's signed by Tressel because Tressel signs everything and I love it. And I look past it. I remember how cool that night was. We look forward to it as a company, as a group of people. But you mentioned the Canfield Fair. I'm a Canfield Fair junkie, man. I live across the street. I love it. It is the 6 best days of summer. We got 2 little kids. We always have a blast going over there. And we always have kind of like a little party night for the night of one of the concerts.
Yeah.
Boyz II Men, greatest Canfield Fair show I have ever seen. And I've seen Boyz II Men in a couple of sketchy venues.
They came to the Wedge in Austin Town one time. My
Yes,
wife
I
was
was
there,
there.
and they were like 2 hours late.
I went to the Mirage and saw Boyz II Men. I'm
so funny.
hip hop and R&B guy through and through. But they put on a hell of a show at the Canfield
They really
Fair
did.
because what are you gonna play at the Canfield Fair if you're Boyz II Men? It's an interesting mixture of demographics to bring an R&B group to the Canfield Fair. And they crushed it. They didn't play super long, but they played just long enough where everybody walked out of there and was like, this was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was that's another thing. We took a little bit of heat for that, but it's like we got to switch it up sometime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Canfield Fair is one that you got to get a little creative about because the weather dynamic can be tricky.
Man.
The venue is tricky. There's
all kinds of people that go. Too.
That's
the demographic of that isn't just one group.
Right.
Yeah.
People always want to kind of put it in one certain demographic, but it's not true.
Really,
man.
no.
And it was great. You know, it was a great show.
Cool.
the greatest people watching on the planet.
Oh yeah.
Like, go to the fair, go to the Rock, sit on the bench, get yourself a lemon shake, and just chill, man. It is the coolest experience. Just watch what's going on at the fairgrounds. So, Eric, man, this was awesome. Love to hear some of the behind-the-scenes stories of what has become an iconic brand in Youngstown, Ohio, JAC, man. I mean, you've done amazing things. You'll continue to do amazing things. Thank you to you, the kids, April, for pouring everything into this community. It's awesome, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. This was great. Thanks
for
guys.
coming.
Thank you so much for listening. This podcast wouldn't be possible without Stonefruit Studios and Bentley Studios. If you'd like to support the podcast, the most impactful thing you can do is subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and leave a review and/or comment. If you found this episode particularly helpful, we also encourage you to share it with a friend or on social media. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and failing forward.